What's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday, October 4th, 2023. We're back at it. Joaquin and Bennett. We're excited to be out here today. Got a whole new round of Croptober coming up. We are now in it, guys, and we're excited with the farms that we have coming on board that have been our partner farms. Again, today we're going over our East of West farms discount out of Hobbs, New Mexico. $100 ounces rolling out. Some primo guys. We're going to start with them, and then we're going to jump into our Matchbox Farms premium pre-rolls, known as already the best packaging in the state of New Mexico.
Oh yeah,
the premier pre-roll pack. I don't think you can find any pre-roll packs anywhere else as such, and it's beautiful packaging, of course, but the products and the farms and everything that they bring together. We're excited to talk about them as well. After that, we're going to be talking a little bit about cannabis and pregnancy, cannabis and with women in general,
yes.
Focusing in on some of the questions that have come in from our store. Want to make sure we hit that. Bennett's rocking the pink. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, everybody.
It's Wednesday,
Yes.
On Wednesdays we wear pink.
There you go. Exactly. So you got all of that in mind. So everybody just keep in mind what we are doing. We're out there taking care of people. Take care of our patients, making sure that we want to elevate our knowledge as well as everybody else and empower everybody along the way. So that's what we're here for today, guys. Jumping into our topics of these $100 ounces. Go ahead and scan that QR code if you do want to, get a purchase. Our Animas ounces, as you already mentioned from last week, might have already flown off the shelf.
I think they might be gone already. Oh my goodness.
Wow. And then, so now, we moved out of Animas, New Mexico from the northwest part of the state over to Hobbs, New Mexico, to the southeast part of the state. And these are some beautiful hoop houses out of Hobbs, New Mexico. We're going to share a video from Coco. He's our marketing guru here, and he actually did a site visit there, and he does our social media stuff. But this was cool when he was over there. I really liked this little video and narration he even had of it. So check this out. We'll let the trees speak for themselves.
And in the meantime, this strain that we have in our hands is going to be the ice cream cake. This one's actually sitting at a whopping 27% right now. So if you care about your percentage and THC percentage.
Tall plants. Holy shit. Let's see if I can. The hoop house is probably about,
here. I didn't have the volume on.
These ones are probably about 5
and by
foot.
Trees, we're cannabis plants, flowering plants.
A little bit actually taller than me. And that's the tip of that one. Then you get higher.
You got the 5-footers, the 9-footers, and the 12-footers.
10 feet.
So again,
and those are freaking 12-foot tall plants.
When you look at that, that's peaking the top of the hoop house.
Let's see if I can.
Having to fold over to continue to get light as that little piece of tarp is, having to rest up there when you open up the hoop house.
15
nice
feet
trellises.
maybe.
This is
that thing's almost touching the top.
Outdoor grow. If you really take a good look at that,
and there's tons
excited to have
of them.
this harvest coming out from them east of west.
So these ones are probably about 5 foot.
Jeez, insane. Very nice.
Actually taller than me.
Very nice. Nice, clean
that's the tip of that one.
Well done. Taking a look at some of the flower pictures that were captured there from Coco. Nice flower, frosty buds.
And this was a few months ago, so we're not really sure what was in harvest at the time, but it could very well be what is currently in the shops. So.
Yep, and it does, Croptober takes that. Even if you have an early season grow and a kind of later season grow, if you try to squeeze into, again, different genetics require different time. The sun itself is going to regulate it, and the testing does take a while. It can depend per farm, but we're excited to have our ounces in. We've got 3 or 4 strains, guys, and I will review those as well. Excited to chop down on this, but I bet they're going to fly fast, and we want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to try them. I mean, this is that time of year where you're getting everybody's best effort, especially those outdoor growers, guys. There's not a lot of indoor growers in the state right now. Like, that's just facts. And, to be able to meet that capacity, it's still a supply and demand market. And in this, you've had those outdoor growers, those OGs that have been doing it for a long time. And, whatever market it may have been legal or not back in the day, the experience comes with it, and that's what you want. I mean, truly, at the end of the day, you want growers with a good green thumb, casually being able to have nice tiers of trees there between, 9, 12 feeders. Like, that's very, very good yields for these guys. Good crops there coming out of
And the
Hopper, New
buds
Mexico.
come out very nice. I mean, you can see in the pictures alone, the buds look very nice. And the buds, when you get them, once you get them in the shop, once they're ready for you to purchase, the buds are very much worth it, especially for an outdoor grow.
And what is this testing at?
At 27%.
Oh, wow. 20,
yeah.
So exactly. As you hear there, 27% for that outdoor. I mean, for a $100 ounce, guys, you are probably not going to find that anywhere else right now. So that's why it's going to fly fast.
And it's quality. You know what I mean? It's not shake. It's not popcorn buds. It's actually, decent nugs that you can break up, squish, and, it's a good ounce. It's not a bottom of the barrel $100 ounce, I guess you could say.
Yes, the Primo product is what's out right now. Croptober again. High Horse, we are fortunate enough to be in a strong position to partner with some really great farms to create those good relationships and to have first dibs at the great stuff. So that's why we've got it in stock. It's ready to go. $100 ounces. Let's fly through it this week and see what we're up to next week. You already know it's going to happen, guys. Especially over there in Chaparral, where you come from, right? You guys fly through it.
Within days. I think one of our record days that we sold about 6 pounds in a weekend.
So that's impressive. Like when you think of pounds and ounces, I think it's 16 ounces in a pound. So that would be 32 of those out the door in a weekend is a lot.
I think our record was the 48-ish, but I was just rounding it to the
So what do you what did you find that was success for you guys in pushing those ounces, or were people just knocking at the door?
So a lot of people I found were either like buddying up with a friend and like going 50-50 with that, because where else are you going to find a $50 half ounce that is good stuff? And people it honestly was selling itself. People looked at the quality, they got to smell it, and with the price alone, the price is what sells it. But sometimes prices can be a little scary because you're like, okay, if it's that cheap, well, what's wrong with it?
Right.
And people ask us that all the time. Well, what's wrong with it? Why is it so cheap? It's not that it's cheap. It's just it's outdoor, so it's not everybody's preference of choice, but it is good quality grown cannabis.
And another thing that people should be aware of as well, like High Horse is, let's stop sharing everything. High Horse is in a good position right now to be right with the adjustment of the market prices. Everywhere is going to start dropping the prices, and
especially with Croptober.
Yeah, exactly.
But along with dropping prices, they might also drop quality. So we do not. That's something we don't want to be doing here. We do want to maintain the quality standard, but also be able to cater to our budget crowd, our budget clientele.
Exactly, and smaller dispensaries aren't able to take those margins in the same way. That's to some people it may be more of a punch in the chin, but the market will end up going towards that way. We have positioned with good farmers and again aligned in the proper ways to be able to bring that price down for good product. It's not we found the cheapest product on the market and we're marking it cheap. No, we've taken good products and now been able to make them more accessible and more affordable for our patients. It means a lot for us to be able to do that. As you guys see, our $25 Pharmers grams, we were the first people, to be able to roll that out in that way. And no people are selling grams of concentrate for anywhere $50 to $60, standard. And we just came in there and boom.
Yeah, and if you do see a $25 gram, it's probably something that's white label or homemade, not homemade, but dispensary made. They have their little license, and there's still not a lot of expertise, behind that. And for us to be putting Pharmers quality products, who is well known all over New Mexico, it's a cheap product, it's a quality product, so it's trusted. You've had Pharmers quality at a different dispensary at full price, you get to have it.
Exactly. That's the perfect way to relate that. I mean, we're people are used to paying more for Pharmers because they think it, we have been ingrained that it's top shelf, right? It's the best extract in the state, right? They have set the standard of premium. And, they've also set that price. And at the same time, High Horse has been able to buy in bulk, create good relationships. We've got a good customer patient base, and that needs to continue to expand, and we're going to keep doing that. And the ways that we do that there is by competing, yes, on price, with quality, with excellent service. So again, we need to keep that at the top of mind, make sure that's important for all our bud tenders and for our community as well. I hope that everybody understands how much of a priority that is for the company, for sure.
Yes, for sure. So you don't have to lower your standards of cannabis products in order to get some good deals, good products. Just visit a High Horse.
Exactly. Just visit High Horse. We're doing it. We're doing it right. We're doing it better. We kind of have an idea of where the market's going to be, and we're not sitting here living in a market where we need to charge everybody $70 for a gram of anything. So if you guys are seeing those prices, you're seeing some extremely primo preem for stuff like that. And on the outside, there's not even enough good quality indoor ounces in the state available right now to even have a top shelf ounce out there.
It's really sparse.
It's supply and demand. Exactly.
And
if you're going to have a top shelf ounce, suppliers or producers want it to go in grams and eighths. Mm-hmm. Again, they can mark it up a little more.
And if
they can't produce in ounces.
Yeah, if they did put ounces out too, they would have to put them at such a high rate that the demand would just plummet too. Everything has tweaks, turns, and it's all very intricate. It plays a role with each other.
Yes, so all the good reason to explain that to your patients, to your customers, to flex on our pricing, to flex on the things that we're doing and the things that we continue to want to do. Moving on to the next product drop for this week, actually dropped I think last Tuesday or Wednesday, but guys, our Matchbox primo packaging namesake product of Matchbox Farms here.
I think the coolest part of this all is that it actually comes with a matchbox. There's the striker right here and a match for each one of your pre-rolls. So no more having to pat around. Got a lighter? You got it right with your little package. So it comes out, the packaging is super pretty.
Yes.
And then at the top, they always have a indicator on what strain you're purchasing. This Mellows is flying off the shelves at the shop. So if you're interested in getting one, try that Mellows. If not, we have the Super Boof too. Super Boof has been a strain that's been taking New Mexico over a bit. But yeah, Matchbox. Try it.
We'll show you guys, we'll give Matchbox a little highlight here, showing off their website. Boom, little about them. Pride itself on being 100% organic craft cannabis farm, owned and operated right here in southern New Mexico. Mesilla Valley strains carefully curated over the last 10 years to ensure end users getting the absolute best genetics possible. They've got climate-controlled greenhouses. Anyways, looking at their strains here, I think you said Mellows.
Mellows, yeah.
So let's find this on their strain list. Mellows, it's a hybrid. Their genetics is a cross between grape gas and spritzer, terps, myrcene, awesomine, linalool, and caryophyllene. Funky floral aroma of sweet grapes, raspberries. Hit your senses with a delightful rush of anticipation before the soothing and stony effects completely relax you in both body and mind. You'll feel satisfied but not knocked back, making this balanced hybrid perfect to inspire creativity and chase away bad vibes.
Woo! That's a good one. I want it now.
Interesting. I mean, it's flying off the shelf. That's your hybrid description. THC percent in this shows 30%. This one's testing at 30.4, but I don't know if the pre-rolls are oh wow.
30.4.
So there you go. So maybe that's why those Mellows are flying right off the shelves. Those things are potent.
For sure. See if that Super Boof is on there, because that one's also one that's been flying crazy.
Super Boof. Let's find this one.
And that's a Z-Lab strain. Oh, there it is.
Super Boof, 30.43% as well. So again,
I see why. It's a cherry punch and crossed with Tropicana cookies. That Tropicana cookies is a well-known favorite for a lot of sativa lovers, but if they get the anxiety, that cherry punch, I think, comes in and mellows that out. Oh, she bad. That's what it says.
So very nice, guys. Take a look again there, Matchbox Farms. You can catch that up there on the top left of the screen. It'll take you to the High Horse Cannabis website, which will get you where you need to be regardless. So that's exciting. very good stuff coming in there. I mean, probably your top shelf pre-roll that we have right now, and for the state. So we're excited to have it. We're excited to carry it. Matchbox Farms, High Horse Cannabis, 24/7, 365. Very, very cool. But let's jump into the next portion, guys. We're jumping into the questions. We do have some important stuff to share as well in this.
Do you want to get on the question about you first?
So yes, let's do that.
So we had a question submitted from our main location. I don't know if it was a client or one of our budtenders, but it says, what kind of doctor is Dr. Joaquin Acosta, and what did he go to school for?
Perfect. So yes, I am a doctor of pharmacy. So that's what I went to school for. I went to pharmacy school for 4 years. And I also did the MBA program as well. So I'm a doctor of pharmacy, have my master's in business, has nothing to do with pharmacy. But again, now I'm, an absolute rogue pharmacist doing things that most pharmacists don't traditionally do. So, we're creating new pathways. And that's the cool thing about, New Mexico pharmacy and pharmacy in general. It's a progressive profession. Got a lot of good things there. When you talk about medication management, guys, there's so many things that go on in that world, whether it's community health or institutional health. Very, very important part of the collaborative healthcare team. As we probably think of primary care as our, kind
physicians
of, yeah,
and
exactly.
doctors.
That's what you think of when you think of a doctor. And the avatar of that, the most general people, and that's totally understood. So we do, pharmacists, we have a different lens on it. We have medication goggles on. We're thinking how the body's metabolizing medications, what things are going on in the body processes that affect, the way drugs work, and so on and so forth. And when you consider cannabis and safety and this, that, and the other, there's just so much gaping holes in all of it. You need cannabis healthcare providers in every single profession that are willing to learn, willing to put their license on the line, go out there and really commit to it. Again, you're not going to find, many places that are willing to, again, take on healthcare providers, because healthcare providers, yes, are very expensive to take on. I appreciate and very devoted to the fact that High Horse Cannabis has me on as director of training. It's a true blessing. Most cannabis companies aren't going to be able to afford a healthcare provider on their team or anything like that. So once the industry can catch up and you can get the other different flavors on that, you'll see more. But we're, again, writing history, not just reading it. So that's what we do, and that's why we do it. Anyways.
All right. So let's see. I guess we'll get started on our most controversial one. So it says, can a woman consume cannabis while pregnant? And then they did kind of reiterate in specific topicals, but I think in general, I think this is something we should talk about with our budtenders and how they can better, help our clients.
All right. Yes. And that's exactly perfect. Guys, there's so many resources here that I want to connect everybody to and make sure everybody is aware of. But the number one thing here right now, especially that you're going to hear everywhere, you don't want to shut the door on anybody, right? And you don't want to make anybody feel like they're doing anything wrong either, because everything is everybody's choice. And I completely endorse that. I just, at the same time, respect the fact that things are how they are for whatever reason right now, and we do not know much more. And those who do participate are kind of going on their own accord, and it's not bad. It may actually end up being the better way. We just don't technically know yet. Anyways, looking on the left side of the screen, the summary from the International Society of Cannabis Pharmacists, bulk, right, evaluation of different research, plenty of different case studies, right now, avoidance or discontinuation of cannabis provides least risk and highest safety profile for mother and infant. Alternative therapies with more safety data during breastfeeding should be considered when possible. So all it is a testament to the fact that you do not have data. You have data to say what medications are used during pregnancy, which we're not even going to get into that. You should be asking pharmacists or doctors or whatever, right? Budtenders should not be advising on what medication should not be used in pregnancy. And that's not to put anybody down or anything. It's just to know your limitations and to keep all of us in the right lines legally. You don't want to tell anybody right the wrong thing and somehow get sued for it because you're giving healthcare advice when you're not a healthcare professional. And it's totally okay. It's easy to get in conversations, right? For sure. So looking at that,
and don't just take your bud tenders recommendations as healthcare advice either. Definitely do your research, ask your providers, ask your pharmacists. Your bud tenders may have a good grasp on an idea, but everybody is different. So it's a give or take. Don't give health advice and don't really take the health advice. Do your research, take the knowledge, and do your own.
For sure. And I've talked to moms like that have done it. I've talked to moms who haven't. Basically, I can tell you in my situation, my girlfriend is expecting. However, she used cannabis before pregnancy. She doesn't use it now. She, chose to go that route because of this, and we, didn't want to necessarily, choose that path. And I respect her decision there.
Yeah,
I couldn't say anything either way, really, and that's where, as a guy, I can't.
It's honestly, we could even bring it up as the same thing as caffeine. Some moms reduce their caffeine. They drink their daily coffee before they're pregnant, but during their pregnancy, their doctor recommends to, subside the caffeine or stop the caffeine. But some moms, still have their caffeine on a daily basis, or even then on a break of basis. So it could be with anything. It could be with caffeine or cannabis. Every mom makes their own choice, makes their own decision based off what their provider has recommended.
And you got to do what your body feels at the end of the day. Like, if you are a user of it or somehow are using it, you got to do what your body feels. And again, we can't tell you what your body feels. So we can give you the data out there about what is or what is not. We can go through different case studies or anything like that. But, looking at some of the resources here about cannabis and breastfeeding, it can affect right the way, that your baby during pregnancy could, affect ADHD or things like that. However, we don't know, if it does or does not. We know it does pass through the breast milk. We know it passes into the placenta. It does get, absorbed. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics here, right, they are, advising not to use it. And that's understandable. But there's a weird line there because all of a sudden, if you do choose to use it, you may be able to, you may have your child taken from you. Like there's the state of New Mexico is not, forgiving on that at all. And I think you have to get a medical card and probably still have to know your rights and do all these things to be able to.
And that's a really important piece of this question too, is, we may have moms come in and they already may have some pressure on their backs about stuff like that. But as a mom or a bud tender that is helping another mom out, you can let them know, hey, do your research on your state laws and cannabis before, because a lot of times if mom tests positive with THC the day she's giving birth with baby, it causes a whole lot of issues that day. And that day is supposed to be, a whole crazy day, but for better and different reasons, not, involving the state and your cannabis use.
Yes, and that's, I think, a completely fair point to bring up because, yes, you've got a lot going on already, and to add another point of possible anxiety or fear or another place that, you may have you have to battle with Child Protective Services or any of those other things there. I mean, that's where, that fine line is. But some women are willing to put up the fight. Some women have that intuition and know what their body feels and are totally okay with it. I've seen plenty of cases of people that have had kids that are excelling in everything, right? I've never seen anybody come use cannabis and a kid come out looking like the hunchback of Notre Dame that's not able to go through school, right?
I think I can attest to saying that I was a canna baby. I think my mother did use cannabis while she was pregnant with me. And it was simply for the fact of, helping her nausea and helping her anxiety. What else can you do as a mother? There's every other medication on the market is
Tylenol, doxalamine, right?
All of that is
B6,
wrong.
all the pregnancy stuff is, it's still metabolized in many other ways. It's, synthetic. So when you do look at that, I mean, geez, right? Pregnancy is probably one of the most, I guess, what is the word? vulnerable times of a human being's life, right? And
Yeah.
you really can't do a lot. And that's frustrating that you've got these interventions that, are band-aids to the situation and almost are just, just not even that good probably for most people, and most people probably end up just gutting it out, is what I've gathered over now.
That's honestly what I
time.
have noticed. Most moms don't even want to mess with it, don't want to have anybody in their family look at them some sort of way, and they just cut it out. They don't want the side eyes. They don't want to hear it, So it's unfortunate because it is a more natural alternative, but we don't know how things end up in the long run. So it's just same thing as we've said before, find your dose, find what feels right.
Exactly.
And for the bud tenders,
resources there, also Dope Mom Southwest.
Yes.
Want to make sure everybody gets connected to that. They've
if
got
you're
different
CannaMom,
communities there.
Yeah, they do a lot of events, and they're ones that are big on advocacy too. So if you have any questions on, your state regulations near you, if you're in Texas or New Mexico, they are really big on advocacy and things like that. So maybe shoot them a message on Instagram, and they could probably help you out with some further information. It is pretty easy to look up yourself, but sometimes a lot of those big words can be confusing. So we can, you can reach out to those people that are part of your community, and they're part of the cannabis community. So, definitely reach out and build a CannaMom community if you definitely are a CannaMom.
Yes.
It's hard out here.
And that's exactly kind of where I wanted to segue, because I was fortunate enough to get an interview with the founder and leader of the CannaMom show. She's out of Rhode Island or New York or one of those places. Forgive me for not remembering, but either way, she's a lawyer. She now, right, is CannaMom. She's kind of in that same space of understanding how much advocacy still needs to be, empowering of women still needs to be out there. And I thought this, granted, we talked for an hour, but there's some munch bits here of her, journey of how cannabis healed her and how it's healed other women in many different various ways that are very insightful, very worth connecting with, and very worth considering how that may apply to you in your lives here. And I really do encourage, women to look at what it's done for themselves and to be able to talk about that, because you already know, physiologically women are better at talking about things than men. Right. And that's why groups like Dope Mom Southwest are so strong. They've got special, different tailored Facebook messages to specific support groups for moms in there. And, there's very intricate network of support there. And that's awesome. I love it. And I really do think that access should be even that much more available to those who might be on the fence, questioning, so on and so forth. We'll let Joyce kind of talk about this. Maybe it'll spur some.
Literally yell across my office. I'm
here.
stopping at the liquor store before daycare, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's fine." But if I had dared to smoke a joint to relax me before I went to pick up my kids, I would have literally arrested myself. I would have used that kind of knowledge against somebody in a divorce, specifically for custody. So I did consume it, but I really believed all these things that I had been told because I never questioned it. I mean, that's the truth of it. I just never questioned it.
She was talking about there that,
interesting. So
she could go
that moment for you.
Use wine,
did it
and
happen?
Judge her.
I know
going
into that
cannabis
place in
a
Denver,
whole different story.
Sure.
Was the location that it seemed to that experience and enlightenment was achieved. Now, was it through the feeling of the blissfulness of cannabis and experiencing that and kind of feeling the healing effects, or where did you? What connected it for you? Exactly. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
So it's so interesting because most of the stories I share on the show are mostly stories of healing. They're mostly women who have healed themselves or healed a child or healed someone they love with this plant medicine and are, basically evangelized, and they're out in the world to show because they feel like they've been duped, that this medicine, which they often found out of desperation, should have been offered as part of the toolbox. And that's their mission. But for me, it wasn't a healing story that way. Although I probably was using it for anxiety once I understood what it could do. I just thought anxiety was just part of me. It would never go away. But that's another story. But it was the idea that it was a business. Like, she took us to a grow facility. It wasn't a bunch of dudes on their couches smoking pot and being chi-chi-chong. These were businessmen who knew everything down to the last penny they were paying on their electricity. Guys with MBAs and the grow. It was such an impressive business. I think that's what really kind of rocked my world. That this is what this plant could be. It wasn't just like dudes selling dime bags or feeling very illicit. It was like it was really impressive. The business part of it sort of like amazed me. I think that's where I was, in addition to the fact that everything I knew about it was wrong.
So you were able to connect that, and I mean, it's interesting to me, especially for like a
So this goes off, but basically at the end of the day, everybody has different moments, different eureka moments with cannabis. It's interesting to see, an avatar of a lawyer, a white woman, right? Baby boomer, right? She kind of fits a lot of odd profiles for cannabis there, and that's why I think she's so successful with her CannaMom show. Empowering women, creating more conversations. She's far out there as far as not local. On the other side of the country, local, you got Dope Mom Southwest. I mean, things that we want to incorporate into our culture and the things we're doing in High Horse too.
And they're very involved, not just in New Mexico, or Southwest New Mexico. They're also very involved in El Paso. So, if you're from this region, this area, just know that there is, a group for you that can, help you out. And like she mentioned, you could be using it for healing, for the bliss, or even just to bring you with a tribe that is a Canna tribe together. That is your one main thing that can bring you together. You might not even be a mom. The girls say it all the time. You don't have to be a mom to be part of the CannaMom group. You can be a pet mom, but these anxieties in the cannabis world and as a woman, they're very real. But especially, like Joaquin mentioned, when you're at the vulnerable state of being pregnant, carrying, another life, and you have state regulations against you, you have family members that might look down on you for your cannabis use, and then you have your own mind that will fight you on it, yes or no, and you don't really know. So let's just hope that our health industry just grows big enough to where we do have proof in the long run, so our CannaMoms can consume comfortably if it's able to.
Yes, that's 100% the take home point. We want to get to that point where we can, officially say these things and have a product out there that's, tailored for pregnancy and cramps or whatever it may be, right? Or, fatigue. But once we do, we will. We just quite aren't there yet, but make sure to connect people. Don't ever, shame people about feeling embarrassed about that. And another thing too, something that doesn't always get considered. If you're a girl, obviously girls usually are more comfortable talking to girls. Same with guys. Sometimes you might want to be aware of that if you're talking with a customer or a patient at the window, to whatever degree that may be. If the other person from, or another, bud tender staff member that you're working with, teammate, of the opposite sex may actually be more preferred for that conversation. Always volunteer that, to your patient as an option there for just even being able to approach a good conversation. Same thing with patients as well. Don't be afraid to ask, hey, I want to talk to a woman about this, right?
Yeah, and even then, as a bud tender, if you're yourself or not a mother and you can't really relate to that subject, bring in a mom into the subject. You can stick around so you get the exposure of how that conversation goes down, but you actually get to see the insight of a CannaMom who has information explaining to a CannaMom who needs the information, and how you can better explain it the next time. So definitely, that's a great point to bring up, and how to, better cater to our clients in the way that we make them feel comfortable to actually open up on the things that they need. So yeah, that's perfect.
And there might be some situations where maybe you're a little bit more in a hurry if somebody's coming through the drive-through and you're still needing to do that. But even volunteer, hey, call or come back or something that may need to be asked questions submitted on the show, right? Or something. We will connect somebody and get that figured out in one way or another. But we obviously want to empower everybody to be able to have that in their toolkit, know it exists, and connect those resources already kind of proactively.
Yeah. All right. So there's no set answer on that. It's just how it is. That's why we had this long spiel. So how many milligrams, there's the next question. How many milligrams of THC per hit from an AeroPro pen? So those of you that don't know, we do have a product. I might have the battery on me. We do have a battery that is called the AeroPro set. It's an AeroPro battery, and then the cartridges or the pods, AeroPods, are a magnetic cartridge that just falls in We have those at High Horse if you want to check that out. Go over, ask them about it. But here the question is relating on how many milligrams of THC per hit from one of those cartridges. And I think the question might be coming because it does provide a haptic feedback, so it vibrates a little bit once you hit it. So people are curious about that.
Well, guys, we're talking physics here. You're talking heat, you're talking time, and you're talking, right,
A personal
velocity of force and pull from your lungs. So there's a lot of different factors there when it comes to how long is this vape pen going to last me? What is the dose from the draw that I'm getting? Geez, we'd like to
percentage
say
of the strain that you have. Like, there's so many factors. Definitely.
AeroPro has a
Science.
basis math on one specific battery size and a 2-second draw. What is that?
So it's a 2-second draw. They have the 500 milligram ceramic battery and the 1000 milligram ceramic battery. So that breaks down into the half gram and the full gram. We do have both of those available at our shops. And like I mentioned, they're magnetic little pods. So you can't use the little pod with any other different type of battery. And you can't really use any other type of cartridges with these batteries. They're kind of a one unison set. And they're pretty neat because of that vibration. But your dosage, what AeroPro recommends you actually use it, is a 2-second draw at a time. And I think that has to do with to make sure that you're not burning your coils out, you're not burning out your distillate or whatever it may be in there. I know they do have rosin and live resin.
Exactly, and those different formulations are going to burn at different temperatures. They're going to burn different. They're going to draw different. Whole thing based on viscosity and whatever else is going on in there. So, it's really hard to relay that to a patient and say this is going to work for X amount of time. Patients are probably going to need to get some sort of a rapport for how they're using pens and how long pens generally last them. I would, honestly almost answer that question with the question, but empower them to kind of think about it for themselves. Not necessarily suggesting that, or that there is no answer, but right, it's like the answer, you will probably know it better than me, right? Like I can't sit there and watch you smoke.
Within you.
Exactly, it lies deep in there. And some people may go out for on a Friday, maybe your pen is going to be used more, or maybe when you're driving, you're going to use your pen more. And we don't want to encourage people to use it while driving, right? Again, but let's talk about the realities of some of that. Or if you're traveling, maybe should have been a better word. So if you're not at home with your, I guess, smoke tools that you would have at home, right? More likely you're going to be using a vape. And so if you're going to know what your usage rate is like during, your heavy usage time versus when it just sits on your shelf because you've got other options to layer at home. There's different times and factors to vary in there, and it's all good. You should really consider having people keep different amounts of everything there because you never know when you're going to need it, right? If you're on the go and you need to be on the go, it's going to be really nice to have that AeroPro or Botanics or whatever pen in your car. It's nice to have a bunch of flower that you can pull from, show your guests, whatever that may be, smoke alone, Kid Cudi style, or Jay's gummies, the whole thing.
Yep. Speaking of gummies, so we did have a question from Chaparral that says, I have eaten edibles in portions and I have eaten up to a whole bag and have never felt any effect. Why?
Well, so I don't know what your body composition is, you who asked. However, I would guess that based on the fact that you said you ate a whole pack, you probably don't have a lot of body fat on you because, again, cannabis is lipophilic. Cannabis likes fat. If you don't have a lot of fat, you are probably metabolizing fat at an incredibly fast rate and metabolizing everything else as well. So, if you're eating it on an empty stomach and you don't really have any fat on your body and anything to really pull out, the cannabinoids out of the gummy, you honestly just may be that energizer bunny kind of metabolizer that truly is not going to, get a volume of distribution. Yep. So you might have just wasted a dose. And that, I would say, eat it with a high fat meal, tell you 2 pieces of pizza and a brownie, and then you eat those edibles, I guarantee you're not going to have that problem.
You want to go
Otherwise,
healthy? Do some
probably
avocado.
a bunk product.
Yeah, probably bunk too. Make sure you're getting dispensary edibles, because a lot of times you cannot confirm your milligrammage when it's traditional edibles. A lot of times they don't do the math. They just cook up, separate, disperse, and that's it. You don't know what your dosage. It could be the biggest brownie you've ever had, but it could be the smallest dose. But at the same time, I think I could also recommend, if you're going to get an edible, try and get something that has some fats. So rather than choosing the gummy alternative, go for a chocolate alternative.
Yeah.
That chocolate already contains some fats in the edible itself. So maybe you already ate and you're not feeling that hungry. Opt for your chocolate. It contains the fat in itself. If not, then I guess nano emulsification, right?
Yes, that's basically kind of that other point. If you are a rapid metabolizer, you might want to really consider in nano emulsified formulation. Granted, there's not a lot of stuff on the market right now in New Mexico, but when we do start seeing a little bit more of the influx of cannabis drinks and nano emulsified, products, you will see some of that option, because you do have more surface area when those THC particles have been broken down into nanoparticles. And so therefore you're going to have much more rapid, immediate, basically metabolizing of the THC, and then you will still need to redose basically. So it'll change things up to that degree, but those who want to just drink that THC water or whatever that may be are going to be able to do that, have those effects, and have it more consistent once we get to a more even wider of a variety of markets, for sure.
Well, let's see. I think that's it for our questions.
Other than that, I think, okay, cool, guys. Our little deal for the week, we've got whole Enchilada Fest this weekend.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we talk to everybody about that. Bennett laid that out for us.
Make sure you catch the booth. We will have a booth out there. The enchilada, if you don't know what the whole Enchilada Festival is, are you really New Mexican? No, just kidding. Well, from Las Cruces, if you don't know, it's softball tournaments, right?
Yes.
Softball, right? I wasn't sure if it's softball or baseball. There's softball tournaments out here in the Mearshite area of town, and all of those fields are basically packed up. People are camping out the entire weekend. We'll have a booth out there the entire weekend. Come by, visit us at the booth, check us out, follow our social media. We'll give you some goodies if you follow our social media. And yeah, say hi, say what's up, and you might get some deals, some flyers for some coupons or something.
Love it, guys. Hope everybody has a good rest of your week.